I got a nugs. You guys gotta see this. I got a nuggie. She's watching me in this unhaul. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Rochelle, and today we are gonna do my first ever book unhaul. And I honestly was going to have this included in one of my Vlogtober videos, but then I was going through everything and I realized I had a crap ton of books. So I figured it would probably be best to put this in a different video instead of putting you through it in my vlog video. Cats are wilding right now. So as you all can see, I'm kind of in a different background. So the stuff that you're seeing behind us is actually our bookshelves that we have downstairs in the house that we're currently renting. And so these are the books that I just don't really have the desire to keep around me in my upstairs library in my office. And so a lot of these books are downstairs, which kind of makes them out of sight, out of mind. And then the books that are in this shelf over here are Charles's. So basically, I have something very exciting, and I haven't really mentioned it because I am the type of person where I don't want to jinx anything. But now that the weeks are kind of ticking down and we're getting closer and closer, there's a Phineas tail, I am going to tell you that we are going to be moving. We have purchased a home and the closing will be at the end of the month. And so with that being said, I'm trying to kind of declutter, get rid of certain things, and we all know I love books. Well, I've had some books that have been with me for a long time. Some of the books I've literally been toting around from house to house or apartment to apartment and just haven't had the chance to go and sell them or bring them to a used bookstore, free library, etc. And so yeah, I've just kind of been carrying them around with me, but considering we're going to be moving, I'd kind of like to only have to haul the books that I'd love to keep, I'd like to have in the library we're going to build. And so yeah, I think enough is enough and we're going to get rid of some of these books. I also kind of went and perused my bookshelves this morning and figured, all right, there's some books that I totally forgot about, but I've been meaning to get rid of, so they're in this pile as well. So that being said, huge intro, I'm going to go and show you the books that I am getting rid of. First one up we have here is To All the Boys I've Loved Before by Jenny Han. I know that this is a book that is very much loved, and honestly, I'm just not the type of person that really goes out of my way to read these books. I believe I picked this one up originally because everyone was talking about how much they adored it. And I did go and watch, I think, the first movie. I don't think I've watched the other movies on Netflix. And it was really cute, but not enough for me to go and read the book. So this is one that I am going to be unhauling. We're going to go with The House of Night Legacy by PC Cast and Kristen Cast. I do have the House of Night books here. I don't have the entire series, but I hopefully do plan on finishing it at some point. But yeah, I decided to go and pick up the graphic novel when it was out, and you know, you can see some of the imagery in here. And I just remember that I wasn't exactly thrilled with the story in here, and it did have some triggers in there that just didn't sit right with me. So because of that, I just don't have any desire to hang on to this. I do love graphic novels. I do love comic books. I have some right back here behind me that I hopefully will do a video for y'all someday so you can see another one of my nerdy sides. But yeah, I'm not planning on keeping a hold of this one. So you can see a lot of them have dust on them and everything. So then the next one is An Unwanted Guest by Shari, Lapena. And this author is one that I just honestly don't retain anything that I've read by them. I remember reading this book, and at the time it was good. It wasn't like phenomenal or stunning, but most books when I read them, I at least retain some sort of memory from them. And this is one that I just no thoughts, head empty. I can't remember a single thing from. So because of that, this is also a book that I plan on getting rid of and I'm not going to be keeping. Then I have Gerald's Game by Stephen King. This is one of the first Stephen King books that I've read. I've also watched the movie on Netflix, which unfortunately it does have a sticker on here that you can't remove. And with this one, it was good. There were a few factors that really did creep me out on it, but also it had a word that I'm just not a fan of, and I'm not gonna, say the word, but it starts with a C, and it just had that word used so much in this book that it was really hard for me to stay focused and not lose my train of thoughts on. So yeah, I don't really want to keep a hold of this book at all.
I got a rose. It's a scissor whoa. It's a scissor whoa whoa whoa.
I have like all the animals around me. I have a Finn over here, I have a Cicero here, and then I have a Nugget over here. And I actually don't know where Kiko is. He's somewhere. All the cats are around me right now. Then I have Stormwalker by Allison James. I actually did pick this book up years and years ago when I went to a half-price bookstore when visiting my family in Ohio, and so I picked this one up. I did not know that was kind of more of an erotic novel. I was just fascinated by the factor that the main characters had elemental powers and things like that, and I never read this book, even though I was intrigued by the main concept of it. So I think with that being said, I'm probably going to unhaul this book as well. But yeah, just so you get a better look at the cover. I did really love how, badass the character looked on the cover, but yeah, I don't think this really will be a book for me because I'm not the one that really goes out of my way to read romance books, especially if they have a lot of open door moments. Next, we have The Kissing Booth by Beth Reekles. And funny story. So with this one, purely the only reason why I picked this one up was because the main character's name is actually Rochelle, but she goes by a nickname. And so I was like, you know what? I've never seen my name listed in a book before. So with, that in mind, I was like, okay, I'm gonna pick it up. It was an okay read. It was, this author basically wrote this when she was younger. So with that in mind, that just keep that in the back of your head if you plan on picking this up. So yeah, I really had no plans on keeping this, and this is one of the books that I've been toting from place to place. So this one is Sweet Peril by Wendy Higgins, and this one, I guess in some ways you could almost think of it in supernatural terms. So with this book, the main character, I believe she is the daughter of a demon and an angel, and she can kind of see the auras around other characters. And I remember originally I was pretty interested in this book series, and it was really, really good. But then I kind of fell off of it and just didn't have any desire to continue reading the series. And so yeah, I'm gonna be unhauling this one as well. But at the time, I did really very much enjoy it. So if this is something that intrigues you, definitely go and check it out. Then I have 13 Reasons Why by Jay Asher. And I picked this one up when I was in college. I think that is when the Netflix series came out, and I was definitely very curious. I am a psychology major, and so because of that, I was very intrigued in the storyline and everything. But it definitely had a lot of triggers, especially for me, and some differences between the book and the TV show. So my curiosity was satisfied. I read the book, but I don't really want to keep a hold of it. So that is why I'm gonna be unhauling it as well. Then we also have Sweet Evil by Wendy Higgins. This is also a part of that other series that I showed you. I can't remember which book is the first one and which one is the second one, but if memory serves me correctly, I think there are 3 books total in the series. Then I have Now Accepting Roses by Amanda Stanton. I was a huge Bachelor fan. I used to watch like The Bachelor, Bachelorette, Bachelor in Paradise. I just loved reality TV shows. And so that was kind of why I ended up going and picking this one up. I just was a little bit more curious in some of the inside looks in her life. She was She was one of the people on the show that I really did like, but I didn't really get any tea with this book and kind of felt ridiculous after for picking it up. So I have been also carrying this book around with the intention of getting rid of it one of these days. Then I have You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero. And this book was very popular, I don't even know, like 5-6 years ago, maybe more years than that. And you know, sometimes you go through a period of your life, or at least I did, where I was like, okay, I want to read a lot of self-help books and things like that. And so I picked up this one. I never got around to reading it, and I truly have no desire to ever pick it up. So, Unhauling. Then I have 10% Happier by Dan Harris. This is another one of those self-help books. And my dad actually got this book for me when I started going to therapy in college. And honestly, if you've never done therapy and you are thinking about doing it, I highly recommend it. Going to therapy is absolutely amazing. You have someone to go and talk to that is not going to have any sort of biased opinion when talking to you, listening to what is going on in your life. Now, finding a therapist is kind of like dating. You do have to kind of search around and find someone that you vibe with. And it can be a pretty grueling process and can kind of make you feel like, oh my gosh, this is never gonna work out. But when you find a therapist you really love, it is so worth it. But anyway, my dad actually got me a couple of self-help books when I was starting my therapy journey. And I think it was his way of going and saying, like, I support you. Here's some really cool books that you can go and read. Unfortunately, and I'm so sorry, Dad, because he does watch my videos, I don't think I'm ever going to get around to reading them, and I don't really want to go and tote them to the next place. So this is one of the books that I'm going to be unhauling, as well as The Happiness Trap, How to Stop Struggling and Start Living by Russ Harris. This is another one that I'm just not gonna read. I think if I had planned on going to pursue a career where I was gonna be a therapist, then I would hang on to these books, but I don't really have any desire to go back to school because yay, student loans. If you know, you know. But yeah, I really have no desire to go back to school. I don't think I will be a therapist. And my fiance, he is an elementary school counselor, and I just don't think these books are ones that he would use, especially given that he does deal with elementary level kids. So yeah, we're gonna get rid of some of these. And I just have 2 more self-help books in this pile, and then we'll go back to more of the fun ones. So this one is Single on Purpose by John Kim. I remember getting this after I was kind of hitting a lot of really not great relationships. They were very toxic, and I was just like, you know what, I need to read something that will put me back on track. And so I read this one with someone that unfortunately I'm not friends with anymore. And both of us ended up going annotating it. I don't really annotate books that often, but this was one that I did, and you can tell, like, I'm not the best at annotating. It's not going to be pretty, and these were the only things that I had at the time to use. But yeah, it was a good read. But not really one that I really feel any desire or need to hang on to. So I'm also gonna unhaul this one and take out all my stickies. And then last one out of my self-help pile, Are You Okay by Katie Morton. And I feel like I picked this one up because I saw it on Instagram or TikTok or one of those things. And I'm one of those people that I always like supporting others, especially, you know, if it's like their first step and going and doing something out of their comfort zones or things along those lines. So I picked this one up, I believe, because I came across it and I was like, okay, heck yeah, I'm gonna go and support her. So I got this one, but I never got around to reading it. And it's just one of those similar things where I'm like, I'm not going into a career where these books are really necessary for me, and so it just feels like the best move to unhaul them. Then I have one of those burn after writing books. I also got this one from a person that I'm no longer friends with. I have never used it, and truthfully, I just never really liked the idea of going and writing stuff down in a book that you're gonna have the intentions of burning and getting rid of. I I don't know, I can't go and do something where I'm destroying books. And I know these are kind of popular. They've had so many different covers redone for. So since this one is like in pristine condition, I'm gonna also unhaul this as well. Okay, now back to books. So the next book I have is The Underwriting by Michelle Miller. I think I picked this one up when I was trying to get back into reading books, and I just thought it seemed really interesting. But now looking at it, I'm like, I don't think I'm ever gonna go and pick this one up or read it. So it doesn't feel right to hang on to it, and I will be unhauling it as well. Then I have The Lonely City by Olivia Lang, and this one, a YouTuber actually that I used to follow years ago, Katie, I can't remember what her last name is. This was one of the books that she talked about, and so I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna go and pick it up. But it seems like this book has a lot of like short stories and things in it, and it seems to be like stories from people that live in the city and stuff along those lines, and it's not really something that I vibe with or have the desire to read. I also realized there's actually some tiny little teeth marks on the corner of the book, which is a bummer. I think one of my cats decided that when I was reading this, they wanted attention, and so they were gonna chew on my books. Luckily, they don't do that anymore. They just rub against it, but yeah, it does look like there's some minor teeth marks on the corner. Then I have Avalon Web of Magic. This is the 7th book, Song of the Unicorns by Rachel Roberts. This is one of those books that I read when I was growing up. I've been trying to get the rest of the books in the series that I'm currently missing. As you can see, I have the ones over here, but some of the ones, they had their covers redone, and I just don't like these covers. These are how the covers are that I'm trying to get my hands on. As you can see, you get to see all the details in the cover versus like a little glimpse of it. So yeah, that's why I'm gonna go and unhaul this one, because I was able to get the copy that has the entire cover on it. So then the next 2 books I have are The Night and Its Moon, and then The Sun and Its Shade by Piper CJ. So Piper CJ is someone that I followed on TikTok. She would talk about a lot of fairy tale lore. She had a degree in it. So I thought it was so cool going and listening and following all those things. And I kind of go through spurts where I'm really active on TikTok and then not so active. But when I started getting back into the book talk world, I saw a video where they were talking about Piper CJ. And some of the things were that in some of her books, they tend to be a little bit racist, homophobic. There's certain tones that aren't the best. I want to say, and don't quote me on this, that there was also some ableist stuff. If I can find the video where I was hearing a lot of the information, and it wasn't just one video. I went and looked and I saw a lot more. It's like, this doesn't feel great for me. This doesn't align with my values. So because of that, I never got the chance to read them, which is a bummer, but I am going to unhaul them because I don't want to support someone that has that type of stuff in their books and doesn't align with me. So yeah, like I said, I will look for the video that I found originally, and I'll go and put it down in the description box below if you're unaware of it and would like to see that. So yeah, that's just my personal preference. If you're someone that does enjoy her books, doesn't see anything like that in them, totally fine. But for me, I don't feel, after knowing that, it just left a really icky taste in my mouth, and I just don't want to keep a hold of these books. All right. So we have a few more books left and then we're done with this. So then the next one I'm going to actually unhaul is The Troop by Nick Cutter. I know that so many people loved this book, and I talked about how disappointed I was because, hang on, I have a woes.
Woes. You can't go after my mic. Woes. You can't go after my mic, Bubba.
So I DNF'd this book a while back. I believe I got to page, I don't even know. I think like chapter 27 or something. And it was a really good book, but so gross. And it just made me so sick to my stomach. I felt nauseous. and I just had to eventually put it down and DNF it, which really sucked because I know so many people loved this book, but unfortunately I just couldn't push through it and finish it. So I'm gonna be unhauling this one as well. And then I actually have a couple of Harry Potter books that I'm going to unhaul as well. I actually do have them in a box set, and because of that, I don't want to hang on to additional copies that I have. So I'm going to be getting rid of the first one and the sixth one. And then some of these books you might recognize from a recent video from my trip to Tennessee, and one of those is Royals by Rachel Hawkins. So this is one of the books that I picked up at one of the stores we stopped at, and it was Date with a Blind Book. And I honestly thought that the descriptions that were written on the blind book cover packaging was kind of hinting that it was going to be a YA book about mermaids. I love mermaids. Mermaids are some of my absolute favorites, especially in the fantasy world. But unfortunately, it was not that. And it seems more like a Mean Girls type of book. And that's just really not my style, not something I have the desire to ever read. So I'm gonna unhaul this one as well and really think about it if I ever try a blind date with a book again. This was one of the first times I did it, and given how disappointing it was, I might only do it at certain bookstores if it seems like the vibe is there. Then the other one that I got from a blind date with a book was The Clincher by Lisa Preston. I don't think I'm gonna read this one at all, so I am gonna unhaul it as well. It does have horses in it and it is a mystery, but it just doesn't seem like something I'm gonna go out of my way to get or read anytime soon. So because of that, I think I'm gonna unhaul it as well because someone else might enjoy this book, but unfortunately not me. So I don't really feel like holding on to it when someone else could get joy out of reading this book. And then I'm going to go and put a disclaimer that I'm not unhauling these next two books because I don't like them or anything like that. I just have some special editions that are coming in, and so I'd like to not have a million copies of this book. So I'm gonna be unhauling Belladonna and Foxglove because I am getting a Barnes & Noble edition that has the hardcovers, and I wanna say the first prints of like the end pages and underneath the dust jacket. So I have special editions coming. They just aren't here yet. They were supposed to be here on Friday, but they're actually not arriving until Monday. So yeah, I am going to unhaul these two just because I don't want to have a million copies of the book series, but I do like the book. I just don't want to have a million copies of it. So that is why I'm going to be unhauling these basic versions of the books. And then the last one I am unhauling will be Long Live Evil by Sarah Rees Brennan. I ranted about this in my recent September book wrap-up, so obviously it is no surprise why I will be unhauling it. If you are interested in listening to my rant and all the reasons why I wasn't a fan, I will link the video up here. But yeah, this book was such a disappointment. It was one of those anticipated reads for me, but unfortunately the writing style just did not vibe for me. I personally would love to read something where the villain is more like cutthroat and not so comedic. That just isn't really the thing that I look for. Like, I really wanted morally gray, but without the comedy and without seeming like, I don't know, like all the millennial or the slang or all that type of stuff. I just really didn't want that. I didn't want to get pulled out of the world as much as I was. So yeah, this book is just not for me. And since it recently came out, maybe there's someone that wants to go and pick it up and can find it at the bookstore that I'm going to be selling it at. So yeah, that is my book unhaul, the very first book unhaul I've done. If you disagree with some of the reasons why I'm unhauling these books, definitely let me know down in the comments below. Or if you happen to read any of these books and you also agree with my decision, I'm definitely curious as well. So leave those comments down there. But yeah, so Charles and I are actually going to be going on a little bookstore adventure, and I'm going to be taking these books to a used bookstore so someone else can get some love out of them. And yeah, I'm very excited, but you will go and see that in the Vlogtober episode that I'm going to be doing, which should be live before this video is posted. So I'll definitely link it as well for you to go and watch if you happen to miss it. But yeah, that is my first book unhaul. I haven't done one of these in years, probably since I moved out of my parents' house for college. So it was definitely interesting to kind of go and look at all these books. And yeah, I kind of feel like all fresh and rejuvenated doing a little unhaul. I love decluttering, so doing stuff like that is always fun for myself. But yeah, I'm gonna wrap it up here, and I hope that you all have amazing rest of your week. And as always, please remember that you are worthy and capable of amazing things. Bye, everyone.